Welcome, welcome. It's I Sigma. Welcome back to the Sigma Show. This is episode number 20. Before I get into who's joining me this week, real quick, let's go over what we will be discussing on today's program. First up, there's been some worries in the Space Jam community as of late. There was the whole thing with Lola Bunny. But the thing I want to focus on mostly today is this whole controversy concerning Pepe Le Pew, who has been removed from the movie because of a scene that I do want to go into in detail. So I guess slight spoilers for Space Jam, but not really because they took the scene out. Anyway, the next the next topic that we'll be going into is some words from the former Oculus, the founder of Oculus rather, who said some pretty, let's say, interesting things about kind of death games, and we'll just leave it at that. But to join me with these discussions, Superman Jeff is joining me today. What's up, Jeff?
Yep, man. What's going on? Thank you for having me.
No problem. As well as Rexicon Jesse.
Hello.
Welcome back. To jump right into things, or rather not to jump right into things, to delay before we jump right into things, I actually wanted us to go back and talk about some of the stuff we've been playing and watching, because it's not a particularly heavy news week, but I do always find it interesting to find out what you guys are, currently playing, watching, reading, stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't have a ton of stuff. I could go first if you guys don't mind, because I really haven't been playing anything new. I was playing Ghost of Tsushima for like 6 or so hours yesterday. Probably more like 4 hours. I stopped and took a break and played Smash for like 2 hours in the middle of that stream. But either way, that game is still relatively fine. Like at this point, it's coasting at like a strong 7 in my opinion, which is fine. Like that's a good game. But rather than playing games, I recently watched the new Coming to America. Eddie Murphy's new movie on Amazon Prime. I didn't have big expectations for it because a lot of these super long in the making sequels tend to not really do right by the original property. And I've always had mixed feelings about the original Coming to America because while I am a fan of that movie, it's kind of a joking and poking fun of depiction of Africa. And I feel like I've mentioned it before. It was fuel for a lot of jokes thrown my way as a kid. Like there's tons of references that come immediately, like specifically from Coming to America to make fun of like Africans. So like there's a little bit of trauma in that, but to be fair, some of it was funny, so I can't be that mad. But now, like in the recent day, now that Africa has kind of like had a big comeback and like Black Panther has like made it cool, and like they're like Nigerian rappers specifically who are like doing big waves in the industry, like Jadena, Wale, Toby Wigwe. Like being African and connecting with your African roots is like super popular. And Coming to America was to me kind of like, oh no, Eddie Murphy's back to break it all up, to like to take away the coolness of Africa again.
He's at it again. Somebody stop him.
But to be honest, I was very surprised at how beautiful, first off, that movie looks. Like they really do what Black Panther did in just making like the spectacle of like African design and architecture just like really pop. Like there were outfits that a lot of the characters were wearing that just looked dope as hell. Like it's not a superhero movie, but his daughters could have been freaking superheroes. Like the way they were dressed, like they had like bow staff skills and whatnot. It was just really cool. But overall, the entire movie was kind of a love letter to the first one. Like it told its own plot for sure, but it was all just hitting on the beats of the first movie. So it's like if you watched it recently or you remember it fondly, it's like, oh yes, that's a callback to this, that's a callback to that. And so the whole time I just had a smile on my face. Like I really, really enjoyed it. I couldn't say I was offended by anything in it, though they were throwing like the same kind of familiar jabs at African stuff. But again, it was funny. Like it was those old guys in the barbershop in the makeup or whatever. And like their ignorance about Africa was still funny to laugh at, because like, yes, they're being disrespectful, but also they're like stupid ass old men. So it was kind of like twofold, I see you in the chat, Tommy. What's up? So yeah, overall, I really did enjoy that. And that's pretty much it. I've been watching a little bit more Black Lagoon. I slowed down the pace that I've been consuming that show. Like it's still good, but it's more episodic than I would have assumed. Like most anime I watch, is like there's a through line that I'm following, and that's what keeps me going. But like there'll be like 2 or 3 episode long arcs of like a one particular story, and like once you reach the end of the story, then I feel like I can take a break and I can come back to it whenever. So I'm enjoying it, but yeah, I'm not rushing through it like I do most other shows. But that's pretty much it for me. How about either of you guys?
After you.
I also watched Coming to America last night. I thought it was good. Better than, because I saw a lot of mixed reviews. People were like, oh, it's good. People, oh no, it's bad. It's good. It's bad. It's a lot of that. I thought it was good. I thought it was obviously nothing groundbreaking, but I think it did. It's something I would have been okay with going to see at the movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like
don't
some
think I'd have been
things
mad if I had
yeah,
paid to sit in the theater and watch that.
exactly. Like some things, like, oh, I definitely would not have paid to go see this. Like, it's an okay movie, but I wouldn't pay to go see it. It definitely did a great job with the set. Like you can tell Amazon was behind it because there was a lot of money, like the scenes,
Yeah,
the
mad
animals.
celebrities,
Yeah,
like
like you can
CG.
tell.
That elephant was
Yeah,
CG, right? That wasn't like a real elephant.
that was a real elephant.
What? I wasn't sure.
That was definitely a real elephant. Like that
I
was a
wonder which
real
one is
elephant.
actually cheaper, to CG it or to just buy one or
I
rent
would think
one.
it would. I think it would be cheaper just to rent one.
Maybe.
Special effects are expensive. I remember that one time they were talking about how much it costs for the Flash just to use his powers on the CW show. Like, yeah, it was just like ridiculous amounts of money. Like, um, playing, I haven't played anything different. I did play some Nino Kuni,
Okay.
the White Witch. Playing some now. I'm enjoying it. I'm playing it on a Switch handheld, which makes it something I can play anytime. I can lay down, watch TV, and play it. I can play it at my leisure. So it's been pretty cool. I do like the art style. I do like how they blend the anime movie type ish with normal gameplay. Like it looks amazing. Like the little creature with like the lantern on his nose.
Like the drowsy looking
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, it's super funny. What's that? Studio Ghibli.
Yes.
I can tell that they're doing the animation behind it because it just fits so much in with what they do.
Yeah, it looks like one of their movies for sure.
Yeah, and it just I love the gameplay on it. It's kind of like it's not turn based. You can kind of like free roam and attack where however you want. So I do like that form of combat. Another thing I've been watching would be I started ReZero. I'm on like episode 4, and man, this man dies in the most horrific ways. So if you don't know, it's about a guy who, and I'm in the first season. I think there's 2 seasons out now, but a guy who is born into another world, and every time he dies, he has to start that day over. So it gives him a chance to figure out who killed him, why he died, what he could do differently not to die, like a bunch of different things, or to help the people that he wants to help without dying, like a bunch of different things. And
Does he dies the same time? Like he has like a set amount of time before he dies, or it's like I made it this far this time, but now I died, so now I got to go back to the beginning.
no, so it's like no matter what. So sometimes he'll die like one time he died before he died after sundown. Another time he died before sundown. Like because things he does obviously is going to change the way things unfold. So somebody he met after sundown because the next day he did something differently. He met that person before sundown. So it was, it changes things based on. So just because one person kills him this time, he might do something differently to kind of appease that person the next time, but that doesn't mean somebody else is going to kill them. So that's it's a really good anime. But the way he dies, I think Blue told me this, and I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, he's like, it's a trigger warning. But when you watch this man, he dies in such horrific ways. Like he honestly gets eaten by like a swarm of white bunnies.
I didn't
Yeah,
know they could swarm.
I didn't either. But they're slowly like devouring him like piece by piece. And like his screams are like so gut wrenching that it's like holy crap, like you got to turn it down or people think somebody's in here dying or something. So, but it's a really good anime. I do like the definitely a different spin on born inside of another world. We're reborn inside of another world, and you become this super powerful. Blah 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 blah. He's not super weak, but he's also not like powerful. There's everybody around him is more powerful than he is, and it's just him trying to make better decisions so he doesn't die by the end of the day. And he can't tell anybody that, oh, I get born over and over again every time I die. Because every time he's about to say something, it's like something reaches for his soul and it stops him from saying anything. So it's really interesting. I've been saving it for a long time, but I'm glad I did because it's definitely a good watch.
Yeah, the vibes I got from that show was a bunch of waifu talk. Like that's all I ever see about ReZero is like the pink haired maid and then there's like a blue haired maid. So I thought it was more like ecchi fan servicey type stuff. But yeah, hearing your description makes me interested to actually check it out now.
I feel like Sword Art Online is more fan servicey than way more than this. This
Okay.
has very little of it. They might look attractive, but there's not like no revealing anything. There's no body morphing or anything like that. They're all pretty well clad, in a maid's outfit, but nothing crazy.
Okay.
So like I said, the majority of the story is just spent watching him die. So it's a little morbid. But
So if you're into that, then
but it's not overly grotesque. It's not blood for the sake of blood. Like it makes sense when these things are happening. Like so, I
so it
definitely would
made
check
it
out.
made sense when a swarm of bunnies ate a man alive.
I'm
did.
more curious now about how that made sense.
Exactly.
Oh man. Okay.
That's it for me.
All right. How about you, Jesse?
I guess playing. I recently got to play Left 4 Dead 2 with my friend Rainbow Blight on my stream, and then I got to play it for the Escapist Retro Rewind.
Oh,
Was the
throwback. Yeah, because everyone gets
Throwback.
offended when you say retro.
Yeah, for the throwback stream. So that was really fun. That's such a enjoyable game. Because we're all starved for a social life, some friends and I started watching Parasite together on Thursdays.
Oh, like
The
the
anime?
Yeah,
Oh, I
okay.
love that anime. I love that anime.
Yeah, we're like episode 6, 8, somewhere around there so far. Yeah, so far it's really good. I love weird I love weird stories, and body horror is cool because it's like, oh, it's just such a like, oh no, ooh, like, but they do so much with it and like are so creative and like with the visuals, and then also kind of understanding the parasites, what they go in with them so far has been really cool, and like offering a lot of questions that are cool to think about. And I'm not sure they'll get answered, but that's fine because they don't need to make the story good. It's just cool and interesting and like something that I'll probably use in RPGs I run now. Take
Yeah,
right from there.
Miggy, he's pretty
Yeah,
cool. I
Miggy.
do like, yeah.
Uh, and then my partner watched an episode of BattleBots and got absolutely hooked, and now we're demolishing that show. Pretty much every free second is just all robot war all the time.
Right.
that is really funny because that show used to come on like one of those high numbered
They used to come
local
on G4 too.
on G4. You know what? It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did used to come on G4. But yeah, anytime, like I never knew when it came on, but whenever it was on, like you would sit there and freaking watch it because like it was like a good time.
It's like a robot with like saw blades on it. And it's
Yeah,
just ridiculous.
It's freaking wild.
like they give them like personalities and stuff.
Those are the best. So many of them don't, and that's really annoying. It's just like, this is a box and it has a spinny thing. Okay. But then there's one called Duck, and it's a box with a little grill on the front and a flipper, but they painted it all white and made the flipper yellow and gave
Ah,
it 2 little eyes. So even though it is the most basic ass design, it's adorable.
Wow.
And like, yeah, there's one that has big eyes on it. There's one that was a hamburger with a slice of bacon that was a spinner coming out of it, and that thing never got its weapon running, and it just got destroyed instantly.
Wow.
It's such a mess.
Are there new episodes of that, or are they just airing the old ones?
We started the 2018 season.
Oh, so they went on for a while then. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
probably haven't seen any of that stuff then.
Mm-mm.
but there is the latest season ran from like January to March of this year. So it like that season just ended.
Wow, so they indeed are still just going.
Yeah. It's like pretty short seasons. Like I think there's only like less than 20 episodes per the last couple. But yeah, it's wild. I really like it.
I should check that out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so does that wrap up your what you've been watching, playing, etc.?
Only if you don't want to hear me talk about dolphins in literature, in sci-fi.
That
Wait.
sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like you can't not talk about that now.
Yeah,
Like you have to
Okay.
elaborate.
So there, I gotta. What was it called? It's a book. A friend of mine sent me a book. She was like, "I have multiple copies of this. Do you want one?" And I was like, "Well, probably. What is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's a sci-fi book from the '80s about a, a crew of humans and dolphins in space, like sentient dolphins." And I was like, "What?" Um, so
Wow.
so yes, I do want it, but also what the heck? So okay, I'll try to do this as quickly as I can, which is just a red flag when you're hearing someone talk, but I'll legitimately try. So it's called the Uplift series, and the idea is that
Tommy just called it. I think he's also read it.
Oh, really?
Oh, Uplifting?
Yeah, uplift. Yeah, the uplifting. So it's the idea is that there's a whole like conscious or sentient beings as a whole throughout the galaxy are basically all spawned from one old race of people that take creatures and then give them the ability to have sentience, which is called uplifting. And then they in turn like raise them, teach them how to do things, and then give them the ability to uplift other creatures. So in the universe, that has been happening all over the place. It's basically, like animals, they get uplifted, and then they're like, okay, well, this animal's cool. Let's uplift them. Humans are distinct in that they did not have that group of people raise them. They were uplifted, and then
Kind of left to their own devices. Right. Okay.
So there's a conflict on Earth of saying we're the only people in the entire universe that were never uplifted. We did this ourselves. And people saying we were abandoned by our progenitors. And we don't know why. Mm-hmm. So there's tension in that. It's kind of fun. And like a lot of...
It actually sounds super interesting. Like,
yeah, a lot of religious stuff tied into that. And then humans uplift once they learn about it from other people. They uplift chimps and dolphins.
Ooh, the
Those
chimp dolphin
choices.
war.
Right.
Yeah, the chimp dolphin war of 2024.
So there's some really interesting stuff with that. And then like, we find there are aliens on the sun. So they go on this ship called a Sundiver to try and like communicate with them because they think they might be part of the progenitors, stuff like that. And then the second one actually is where they have like a full dolphin crew. But I had to go back and read the first one because I felt a little too confused starting at the second one.
Yeah, okay.
Fair. That's a.
I was worried it was just me. I was like, okay.
Yeah, but there's like some, I'm going to say uncomfortable dated stuff in there. It is interesting, but some of their views on like race and gender is like...
Oh, you said it's from the 80s, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
You said the book was written in the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a few things where I've read it and I was like, I honestly don't know. I don't want to say this is what the author believes. This might be a character thing. Like,
Okay.
but it's also I haven't seen enough in the text elsewhere to be convinced that it's not the author. So it's like, all right,
It was
but
a
it
different
is
time, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, it's weird. I started the second one. I haven't finished it yet. I have it on audiobook and then I stopped jogging because it got really cold. Um
You got to read what Tommy said about the book. He said it's not a bad series. It sounds goofy. In one of the books, there's a very tasty scene between chimpanzees.
All right, we
haven't
already
gotten there
know
yet.
that Tommy has a proclivity for certain kinds of erotica. He proved that on the last Left 4 Dead stream. So we won't comment too much on that. But that's actually super interesting. Like I don't know if I'd read that as a series, but I'd be interested to watch something if it ever gets turned into something else.
Tommy said it wasn't him.
Yeah, sure thing, Tommy.
Okay.
Yeah, the ideas are interesting. I feel like it's one of those things that would actually fare better through an adaptation.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it doesn't get a movie. Let's just hope it does not get a movie.
Yeah, it's way too dense. You need a 10 episode season
They're gonna
1.
rewrite that script a couple times.
Tommy's suggesting an HBO series. No, because HBO will do exactly the thing we all don't want them to do.
Just do claymation. Claymation will help.
Will it?
It will.
As someone who absolutely loves stop motion and claymation, heck yes.
Yes, exactly.
That would actually be awesome with like being able to do
Yeah.
things that are like swimming.
The whole Roger and Gromit thing, like you just film it. Yeah, be like the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, the nightmare part for sure.
Oh, sure.
Nightmare fuel before Christmas.
Okay, so with that note, let's actually move on to some more anthropomorphic animal news.
Ooh.
Everybody knows Space Jam 2 is on the way, but we're not talking about the whole Lola Bunny thing. That's its own problem. I wanted to bring to light this situation with Pepe Le Pew and the perceived canceling of this old Looney Tunes character. Everyone knows who Pepe Le Pew is, right? He's the skunk in the cartoons who's always chasing the cat who gets some sort of white stripe painted on her. And he's overly aggressive. He's like kissing on her. All of his advances are unwanted. And it's the whole premise of the cartoon is him being, aggressively sexual towards someone who doesn't want it. And that's supposed to be the comedy, which has not aged particularly well in today's climate,
No.
So he is a longtime Looney Tunes character. He was featured in the movie, and the scene that gets cut with him is him doing a little of what he does in a cartoon. Like there's an actual human character. I can't remember her name. I forget the actress's name. But she's in the scene. Pepe Le Pew is hitting on her, like trying to kiss on her and whatnot. And she slaps him and says, "You can't do that. You can't touch women inappropriately like that." So she scolds him for his actions. And then LeBron James sees this scene, chimes in, and also tells him the same thing. Like, hey, you can't do that. Like, you need consent, something along those lines. So it's a whole scene that basically tries to address Pepe Le Pew's actions. It existed when the first Space Jam 2 director was on, and after a new director took over, they cut the scene entirely. So now Pepe Le Pew doesn't even show up in the movie. There's no scene addressing his behavior. They kind of just ignore it. And I just wanted to get you guys' take on this because a lot of people have been upset, and I don't think they know the context for him being deleted from the movie, but a lot of people have been upset that a cartoon character is being cut out of a movie or being canceled, as they call it, for this kind of behavior when they're like, oh, it's harmless cartoons, and other people are like, well, he should. Like, his behavior was atrocious. So I'd really like to get you guys' take on this scenario.
And they didn't just cut him from the movie; they cut him from all TV appearances, anything like that. He won't be in a Looney Tunes show on HBO.
Yeah, all
Max
that
or
new
anything.
Looney Tunes
Yeah.
content. They cut him, and they also cut all the gun stuff with Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam.
Yosemite Sam, yeah. I think it makes sense. I think because that character's been written that way for so long, writing him in another way is definitely going to be different. But also, if it doesn't harm the movie in any way, I don't see the harm of taking him out, especially because that comedy just doesn't work nowadays, and it does send the wrong message because it is a kids movie, and if kids are watching this, then they might think that this behavior is okay. Not to say they won't, but I think it's a good idea to kind of take him from the movie because, like I said, if you remember the cartoons with him, he's just chasing her, chasing her, chasing her, kissing her, showing up, showing up, showing up, showing up, and that just like when you think that there's so many comparisons from that to like stuff that happens like Law and Order Special Victims Unit and just like crazy stuff. So I think it's a good idea to take him out until they can kind of rewrite him to kind of have another purpose. But I think it was a good idea on their part to not even potentially welcome an issue with having him do the same old same he would normally do.
Okay. How about you, Jesse? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think the argument of well, it's a cartoon character is a terrible argument because
I would
okay,
agree with
yes,
that,
yes, he is a cartoon character, but every single action he is doing is based on reality. Like that is a thing that happens that ain't good, and like it's played as a joke and it's not. So the actions are what matter here, and yeah, it shouldn't be. I think I agree with basically what you're saying, Jeff. Is that that's his shtick, and there isn't really a place for that. So even the act of addressing it, which I could appreciate that, and I like that in the article they did go over what the scene was, and we're just like, it's gone, and you're like, I wonder what it was. And I can appreciate that they tried something, but I'm not really sure that just addressing it was the best thing, or that just addressing it in Space Jam 2
Right.
is the best place to discuss sexual harassment. So I think cutting it was probably the best idea, and I don't know what any sort of solution to do with this character because yeah, he is built as a horrible stereotype in many ways, and like not good.
Yeah, and he's not like the main character of Looney Tunes. He's a side character, and yes, his shtick was male chauvinism, was rape culture behavior, right? So, it actually does make sense to just forget he ever existed. Like that would be the wise thing to be like. That would be the easy thing, I guess. I want to say is to just say, let's pretend this never happened. We will never bring it up again. It's gone from our history. But I do think that I think it was particularly brave to attempt to show this is what he does and to have characters around him hold him accountable in a kids movie. Space Jam 2 is directed towards kids, just like how those Pepe Le Pew cartoons were directed towards us as kids. And to show kids this is behavior that is not accepted by the people around you, I think is important. Because if you do just pretend that you never did it in the first place, like that, what's that old saying? Like, people who never reflect on the past are doomed to repeat it or whatever. And not to say that, Looney Tunes is the the Bible of our time or something like that. But but I do think like them attempting to address it in that movie, it showed like a level of responsibility, like they wanted to own up to the mistakes that they made with that character and like just flat out say, hey, this is wrong. And like I can't be mad at that. Like them choosing, like after it already existed, mind you, them choosing to then take it out, to me just reads as a little cowardly. Like I'd rather not get into this discourse because there are going to be people who are mad based on the fact that they're just removing a cartoon character and they're saying, oh, it's censorship, blah, blah, blah. All those stupid ass arguments that don't actually mean anything. People just want to be awful and have no consequences. Like that stuff was going to come. Like they're getting it now without the movie actually being released yet. But I do think this was done to avoid that conversation and just have the movie be seen as like, a good thing rather than a controversial thing.
I think Lampy made a good point. He said not only was it was a French stereotype too. So not only is it a sexual thing, but even if they left that in as a cautionary tale, it was still a kind of a poke at the French as well. So I
Yeah.
think that's another thing you got to keep in mind that they could have gave him a normal. I don't know what a normal accent is, but something that's not specifically targeting any particular demographic. But remember, he was like over the top French, and while he was doing these things, so it made it seem like this is what a French man would do. So I think that's another thing we.
No,
gotta
yeah,
keep in mind.
that is a good point to bring up, and I'm assuming because I haven't seen the scene, I only read it in the article. I am assuming that they don't talk about that at all, right? Like it's just
Yeah.
the sexual behavior that they address, and not the stereotype of like French people as a whole. So that's actually a good point. But again, I still like address that too. But like Jesse was saying, like maybe
Give a
Space Jam
backstory.
maybe Space Jam 2 isn't the best place to handle all this stuff,
Exactly.
you know? So yeah,
Everything you gotta address, you gotta readdress that. Like this is how he lost his accent. You do like a little whole backdrop, and this is what happened. you know,
or maybe just kill him. You know,
he got sued by the French and had to stop using the French accent and some other stuff, and it was just
or just say he's
him
been
living-
in America so long he lost it.
yeah.
And American values basically shaped his mind.
He got sued for his behavior towards people and just living in the slums and just lost it.
But yeah, okay, yeah,
It's a dark term for Space Jam 2. No one expected this.
the second one is always the dark sequel, and then the third one, brings the whole franchise back up. So Space Jam 3 starring, I don't know, who would possibly star in Space Jam 3?
Zion.
Look, I'm still not counting out Shaquille O'Neal for Space Jam 3.
Oh,
Shaquille
man.
O'Neal was in Space Jam 1, though. He'll probably be in 2.
Was he in one?
Yes, he was part of the All-Star team who got their ability stolen by the monster.
Oh yeah,
It was him. It was
Muggsy Bugs.
Muggsy Bones.
Bug.
It's Muggsy Bones. Muggsy Bugs? That's not his name.
Look it up. Look it up.
I'm not gonna search for Muggsy Bugs. I just want to remind myself when I look back at this recording that this is the episode title. Muggsy Bugs. Okay.
Wasn't
man.
it Patrick Ewing or something too?
Yeah,
I
Patrick
think
Ewing
that
was in it. Yes.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Garnett might have also
It
been
was
in it.
not Shaquille O'Neal.
Charles
It
Barkley
was-
was in it too.
Charles Barkley, Sean Bradley, Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, and Muggsy Bogues. Or Muggsy Bugs, I guess.
He almost said Bugs too. He was like,
He had to fight it off.
I did. I had to stop and look at it like, okay, I got it.
All right. Okay. So I guess I don't know why I thought Shaq was in that movie.
Look, in your defense, Shaq was in a lot of things at that time. So
right.
to just kind of superimpose him there in your mind is not far from the truth.
Man. Billy Wilbo adds, maybe there's a scope for a Pepe Le Pew short that addresses this issue as a central theme, but that's a tough script to write. Yeah, like like the heart of it wouldn't be like a comedic story, right? It would kind of be like a sad, introspective, like drama about this character and like the harm he's done.
It could be, and they could rewrite him as a skunk who's trying to find love, but nobody loves him because he stinks.
But then he would still have the stink of his past attached to him, right? Unless they just made a brand new character. But then again, what's the point? You could just drop him in the toilet and forget he ever existed.
Maybe that's the metaphor, the stink
Yeah.
of the past.
Exactly.
You know what? Somebody write that script because this could win an Oscar or something if you do it right. But we'll move off of that and into our final topic. Let me actually open this up because I forget names and I wanna
Names are good.
Yes.
Very good. Crap, the article won't open for me now because my ad blocker. Well, either way,
Palmer Luckey.
oh, is that his name? Palmer? Yes, Palmer Luckey. So Palmer Luckey, founder of Oculus VR technology, bought by Facebook, blah blah blah. He gets on Twitter and he basically states, "Wouldn't it be interesting?" Do you have the actual quote? Because I'm trying to read.
Lucky has crashing in the car, blah, blah, blah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
Luckily suggesting that crash. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. It says, the concept of video games with physical consequences as severe as death are a sci-fi staple, but seen as beyond the pale in real life. Given the popularity of motorsports, extreme athletics, etc., why? So he's asking, we have sports like motorcycle racing, car racing, where you could die if you make one wrong move, and people watch it, and he's arguing that that threat of death is part of the excitement of the sport. Why couldn't video games emulate something like that, where you play a virtual situation where your actual life is on the line? Like, why is that seen as taboo versus something like racing cars?
I think it's the same thing as piloting a plane and piloting a drone. So, like, there's places that you would take a drone, as the military does, that they wouldn't take a manned aircraft because of the potential of it being shot down. Is it something I have no choice but to risk my life while doing? Or is there an option? Some things you don't have an option with. Like, you see, if the race car drivers during COVID, if they could do the racing virtual through cars that were set up as gaming rigs, I'm sure they would much rather that if dying was a much higher possibility. I know I sure would. You know, if I'm going to die because of a crash or something like that, there's a potential of that. Let's just say a 50% chance. Then yeah, I'm going to stick behind a gaming rig and race that way and still make the same amount of money.
But so you're saying that, so you're suggesting that NASCAR drivers, for example, because they have done this virtual thing in the midst of COVID, that they prefer to race virtually.
No, I'm saying, like, let's say, because while drivers do die, I don't think it's at the rate to where it's overly alarming. You know what I mean? Like, every so often, and I don't have the numbers, so, you know, don't judge me. There you will hear someone dying from a crash or something like that, because just how far technology has come as far as safety and all that stuff. But back in the day, it was a lot more frequent because, you know, they were old cars. There wasn't much protection in those cars. So if that was the same way now, I'm sure most of those drivers would much rather drive from the safety of somewhere else as opposed to putting their life in danger.
I think I understand what you're getting at, but I wanna get Jesse's take on this first before I try to comment on that.
I think you kind of led into part of what I was thinking, where okay, you have technically, okay, yes, there are. I don't know. Let me start a different way. If you do what you were saying with like NASCAR racing, and that it is safer now than it used to be. But the goal is to make it safer and safer. Like, look at how cars are built, how the drivers are strapped in, the equipment they have now. Every step is to make it safer for them. The goal is not, this is dangerous, as Palmer seems to sort of be pointing. But that things are moving towards, well, let's make it safe. Like, anyone who's racing wants to race again. Like, they don't want to be like, yeah, this will be the last one. That's fine. Like, that's something they want to do. So yeah, if you could remove everything, moving towards removing the fatal element. So I don't know why you would introduce that.
Yeah, I think that's the key. There is the competitive nature of video games today is safe from things like that.
Right.
To then go back and introduce an element where someone could die, no matter, even if it's like if it's like a 1% chance in a million that a person playing this game could have something happen where they actually die in real life.
Yeah.
Like on a very morbid level, because I mean, like, gladiatorial stuff was a thing in like ancient Rome. Like, there's a history of humans and blood sport and whatnot, right? Though I do wonder if the ways depicted in a lot of our popular media is different than how it was back then. Because I have the faintest recollection of something along the lines of like, yeah, they fought with swords and like in like dangerous super situations in like those coliseums, but people rarely died. Like it was a situation where like they fought and people did die, but like it wasn't like a new death every match or something like that. Like it's been grossly overestimated like how much death happened during those fights.
Like in Spartacus on
Yeah,
Stars.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, where it's
Every
like
match, at least one person's gonna die.
yeah, like, it's just all death matches. Like it's really like boxing, but like oh crap, that dude just died. But like I don't have the like Jeff was saying, like I don't have the numbers, I don't have the like I just remember reading something vaguely to that effect. So I could be absolutely wrong, I could be pulling this out of my ass, I don't know. But I do. But like when you do start going into VR, like deep VR, like the sci-fi VR that we all want, where like you basically put on a thing and you're just out. You're in an entirely different world. You can feel everything. It's as if you're there. I do think the chances of you having some kind of adverse reaction to your physical body grows. Like you
Right.
could have some sort of brain damage and just be, like what if your consciousness gets stuck in a virtual world and your body is dead to the real world and stuff like that.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
At what point does so you're the person who runs this company? Somebody comes and they uses your rig to go into a game and they die. Doesn't that make you an assist? Doesn't that allow you to assist in that suicide? Because basically they killed themselves by playing that game, and you assisted them by providing the equipment. So effectively, you were Dr. Kevorkian.
So are you liable because it was your equipment that
You
allowed
gave them
it?
the means and the opportunity to do such.
My guess, as not an attorney, would be
Wait, what?
they're absolutely liable, but they would have you sign a terms and conditions thing before you use any of their stuff. So
But
it would probably
what's
be in
the-
there that
What's the difference between me telling you, hey man, I'm suffering, I'm ready to end my life, I'm gonna sign this over, I just need you to help me. I'm gonna write this letter saying you are not responsible for what I just did. You just merely helped me along the way. Boom, here you go.
that
Do you think that's gonna work in the court? Just saying. Just saying. Just tell me.
that's just a weird letter to write, to be honest. Like because you're saying like I'm not holding you responsible, but you did kind of help. Like like who would write that letter if that was their intent? But what I'm saying is if that is possible, and I think we would be looking at a future like that if it gets to the point where like you completely have like full autonomy inside a virtual space and your body is just kind of lifeless in the interim. There's a possibility that you could suffer some kind of harm, like people have seizures for like much lesser kind of experiences. You know what I mean? Like what if you had a heart attack because something scared you in like a horror game or whatnot? Like companies are aware of these kinds of things, and if you build a thing that could precipitate something like that, they're gonna make you sign that you volunteered to have this experience, you knew the risks, and we're not gonna be responsible should something bad happen. Like that'll be like ironclad before that thing gets off the shelves. That's my assumption.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't always work. I mean, if when you buy a car and you're like, oh, you're responsible for this car, but then it turns out the airbag is defective and it becomes a shrapnel bomb when it goes off, that's on the not
sure.
you as the owner of the car, it's on the people who do the equipment. So
Right.
I'm not sure exactly how in this case it would fall on the user versus the person who provided every part of this, including adding the part that can kill you.
Well, is it like a technical malfunction? Are we talking about like, oh, this headset fried their brain, or is it they died while just experiencing the thing as it was designed? Like if Jeff and I are in the same virtual world, we're doing the same mission, and Jeff gets scared and then like has a heart attack. Like I didn't have a heart attack. Like, is that the game's fault, or is that Jeff's reaction to the game? And like, there was nothing that could be done about that. Like,
It
Jeff
depends on
signed
what
up for it.
caused it. It depends on what caused it.
Yeah.
Would anything of substantial stress have also caused that heart attack, or was it something that
I
the
mean, it
machine
happened
did
to your body.
specific?
Like the machine didn't give it to you. The machine showed you a thing, and then your body reacted in a way that caused it to die.
Well, let's make sure you say this is hypothetical, because
Yeah,
you just, I'm just saying, you get very specific with this,
Jeff will die from. So no.
Later on Smash.
But I get what you're saying, but also it depends on what caused it. Like if there was something went wrong with the person's brain, obviously that could be contributed to the neural interface or something like that. Somebody else had a comment about cheating, but all the cheating that's rampant in normal video games, what's to stop somebody from effectively using the machine to kill someone they wanted to kill based on hacking or something like that?
So,
Well,
Snow Crash.
Yes, exactly.
It's a good book. Basically, a computer virus that affects the brain on an extremely deep level, so that you seeing this content of like numbers affects your brains and kills you. So it's a
oh, so
computer virus that kills you.
that kills humans
Yeah.
because humans have cyber brains. I'm assuming in this.
No, they're in a cyber it's called what's it called? But they're basically in cyberspace, just hanging out in their virtual
Okay.
reality setup. But by seeing it, it does a thing to your brain.
Okay. So yeah, that kind of thing sounds dangerous. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff in the comments. Sorry. There's a guarantee way you can kill you in corporate incompetence to make something do that. Blah blah blah. Billy
Yeah, and I
Bobo
think
says, I don't understand the mindset of someone who watches the sport specifically because someone could die. At that point, the sport itself doesn't matter. Yes, that is a kind of a morbid type of fan. And I feel like that is the joke with NASCAR is that people only show up there because they're waiting for the crashes. But I don't think that's actually true. People who are NASCAR fans like cars going fast, like they're car
Yeah.
enthusiasts and whatnot.
and also even people who enjoy the crashes, I feel like the vast majority of them want to see the driver come out of that crash.
Yeah. Right. Darth Tommy says, even in Rome, gladiators didn't usually fight to death. They were too valuable entertainers. So yeah, so there's a little backup for what I was talking about, though Tommy didn't provide a source either.
You might have to get a source. Someone they might have all passed away. Julius Caesar was his first source. Just letting you know.
Anyhow, so long story short, I do think it is dumb. Like I was trying to play devil's advocate. I think it's dumb to try and introduce, death and like physical consequences to an inherently safe medium like video games and competitive sports where like the depiction of death is rampant. Like people die all the time. I think that's the thing that makes it so scary, right? Like if you turn Call of Duty into an actual death game, would there be any Call of Duty players? Like the millions of people who play that game would all die. So yeah, like I don't think there's any way to introduce a physical stake into a virtual game or a virtual competition that would inherently make it better. Like the excitement is from the competition, at least for me. Like the idea that someone could die from this, like that doesn't add to
No.
much, in my opinion. Though I get like there are people who are thrill seekers and like they risk their lives to do stunts and whatnot, and like that is a real thing. But I mean, in terms of competition, like sports and etc., like Jesse was saying, like minimizing risk. Like the NFL does the same thing. Like they keep introducing new rules to keep the players as safe as possible because like hitting their heads, boxing, the same thing. Like they don't want people to die for our entertainment. Like that's super morbid, and we should get off that train. So Palmer Luckey needs to chill a little bit, I think.
He might be having some type of breakdown or something.
Yeah. Where I thought this person was going was just with haptic feedback. Like, oh, but why can't they die? And then it talk about like, oh, but what would be cool is haptic, and they didn't, and I thought that was weird because it's like that's cool. Like, okay, like because I think I swear this happened. I don't know if it's real or I imagined it, and I think it was a Sega product because of the time period that like there was some sort of like haptic feedback when you would lose HP in an old game, it would like shock you or something.
Right.
Something like that does sound.
I remember that being a thing from the 90s because when else? Uh,
I mean,
like
there's pretty
things
much
like that could work. Go ahead.
there are haptic feedback vests on the market now. Like there was one that just passed its Kickstarter. It was like $400-$500 or something. Like a friend of mine asked me, like showed me the thing. Was like, hey, should I get this? I know you're into video game stuff. Like, is this like a smart purchase? It's a $400 vest that attaches basically like a 5.1 surround sound speaker to you, and like the sound is what it's using to like hit you with like vibrations and stuff, so that you feel like you're in the game. And that's stupid. Like I think that's dumb and a waste of money. Not for $400 at least. And the thing is, the vest is just using like audio channels. Like it's not attuned to like gunfire or specific things. Like, oh, the impact of me getting hit is the it's like there's a loud noise, so I feel the rumble in my body. That's all it does. So I was like, that's dumb. Don't buy that.
Yeah,
but if they, but in the future, like the more feedback that you can get for games, I do think that helps to immerse you. Like everyone's talking about like the DualSense PS5 controller. Like I really want to experience that because apparently just the extra sensations in your hands as you're interacting with stuff in the game world makes a big difference. So if you could add that to your bodies, to your sense of smell, to, your eyes, your brain further down the line, like we could be having some real crazy experiences. We just got to stay safe. That's all.
Right. Socks. Haptic socks. Boom.
Haptic feet socks. All right. Any other thoughts on the future of VR and the inevitable death of all the gamers?
through dangerous games.
I wouldn't mind a world like. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go after.
I wouldn't mind a world like Ready Player One. I thought that was super interesting. It was that big overall world, but then you could go and do different things. I think that would be awesome.
Noted.
Would be cool.
I didn't see you write it down.
Here. It's in my my virtual space.
Mentally noted. Yeah, future VR. Hey, when will it be more affordable? That'd be cool.
Right.
I would like to. I still have never strapped on a VR headset and played it.
Yeah, I've only like had like demo things like.
Right. We went to the trampoline park, and I was tempted to try it.
Yeah, there was one there. Yeah.
Yeah, just to see what it was about, and I was like, maybe I should, but I wind up didn't. But it does definitely need to be more affordable in order for more people to give it a try. Because I'm not paying the same price I would pay for a Series X for an Oculus headset. I'm just not.
Yeah, the experiences aren't there. Like it's not the value of buying into that ecosystem. I feel like isn't there yet. Like there's not enough games that you would spend enough time playing.
Can I just totally not helpful at all to this conversation? I just want to bring it up. Can we all remember when news outlets were telling us that 2015 was the year of VR?
They specifically said 2015.
Yeah, that was like a thing. It was like where all the big stuff was supposed to hit, and it was like going to be mainstream, and everybody was going to have it, and there were going to be great games for it. And it's 2021, and I can think of like 2 games on VR I actually want to play for more than like 5 seconds.
Half-Life and that's about it.
Yeah, I've heard Half-Life, Boneworks, and there's like a couple other random ones. It's like, yeah, I'd try that. But
I want to try Beat Saber.
Yeah, like I want to try Beat Saber, but do I want to play Beat Saber like I play Rogue Company? Or like I played...
Well, I don't know. No. Haven't played Beat Saber?
That's true. Maybe I would. All right, that's fair.
But no, I 100% agree with you. Like the experiences are not there. The tech is still too expensive. I do want them to keep working on it because I want us to get there. Yeah, I want us to get there. So if you got the money, go ahead and buy it. Like shore up their account so that they can make it cheaper for the rest of us. But that's gonna bring our show to a close. Jesse, what do you want to let folks know that you're working on this week? Where can they find you?
You can find me on my channel. I forgot to mention that on things we were playing. I've been on my channel. I play the games I'm going to be playing for the next behind the schedule. So tomorrow, Monday at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern, I'll be playing Fallout 1, continuing to play Fallout 1.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. I put like 8 hours into it so far. Learned a lot about the game, and now I'm on my technically third character because I'm learning a lot about the game. Pro tip: if you run out of time in Fallout, you don't get to just keep playing.
They just legit just
Wow.
start you over. So it's a
Yeah,
roguelike.
it's like, oh, that bit, because your whole mission is get a water chip to save your vault, and you have a set amount of days before they run out of water. And if you hit that time limit, they're died, game over. Have fun making a new one.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very surprised. So you can catch me on that. It's twitch.tv/RexGunJesse. And I'll be streaming probably multiple times throughout the week, but I always do Mondays at that time.
Cool.
And then I do Thursday nights too, 5 to 7 with my friend Rainbow Blight.
Yeah, I was watching you guys play Portal 2 the other day.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
That was hilarious.
I'm so glad.
What was the one game you guys were playing with the rats following you around? What was the name of that game? You were playing as like a samurai. He was playing as something else. It was like that top-down view. I think it was kind of like a D&D game, kind of esque.
I don't remember.
It was before you played. What was that? Journey was the last thing you played before then too.
Yeah, we played Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, what did we play? I don't remember.
Oh, Moon Hunters? Chad is saying?
Yeah.
Moon Hunters.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Moon Hunters. That's such a fun game. I love that game so much.
Cool. So definitely check out Jesse's channel for that stuff. Jeff, how about you? What do you have coming up this week?
Today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. Monday is Monday Night Siege. We'll be back with some more Rainbow Six Siege. I believe that new operator's dropping. They got that new event that's going on. I gotta double check and see if that's this week. But we'll be back with Monday Night Siege, and then Thursday we will be doing Guardian Thursday, some more Destiny. So yeah, that'll be my week.
Nice. Can't wait for that. You can catch me on my channel, this one that you're watching right now, Civic Gears 9. Later today, we'll be playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for Super Smash Sunday. Blue should be there for that. Jeff said you're not going to be able to make today, right?
Yes, I don't think I will be back in time.
All right, no problem. So it might just be me and Blue. Ash might show up, so that should be fun. Also, this evening, I'm going to be starting the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope with my girlfriend Kia tonight at around 7:30. So we're going to start that game. It's not a horror. I mean, it's a horror game, but I don't get scared by those kind of games.
Sure.
Alien Isolation is probably going to be a much bigger deal in terms of me being scared. But anyway, that's what we'll be doing this evening. Check for me and Nick on his Editor's Hour tomorrow. I'll be doing another stream on Tuesday, I think. Matter of fact, I don't know what we're doing on Tuesday anymore because the Post of Yamar is changing. But I'll let Escapist people explain that to you guys. Because I don't actually know what's happening with that. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to bring up before we close things out. But either way, shout outs to everybody in the chat.
Yes.
Shout outs to my two co-hosts for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.